We did it. We're back, and we have a lot of things to
We're
talk about today.
man, we're back 2 weeks in a row. Come on now, pretty
Two
great.
weeks in a row. We should have like 500 people in here right now just because it's 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, I agree. Let's do this. Come on.
So I want to start. You have done some good things here lately. You have a new origin in Zorel. Do you want to? What's up, Lincoln? What's going on? Do you want to say anything about what that basically is about and have them go to that website and view it?
Yeah, hey guys, if you want, we're trying to start a new regular series of Origins, and we are focusing more on, B characters, lesser known characters. Um, we feel it's a bit redundant to just go over Superman, Batman, Captain America, Spider-Man. So we're definitely digging deep, Marvel and DC. We have one there on a Marvel character called Stingray. Check it out. We're kind of getting our feet wet with some production on that, and Coach is working his editorial magic on it. And
Yeah.
we just did the one on Zariel, uh, a pretty cool DC character. So check that one out. And we're going to be working on some more. If you guys have some requests, we do have one request that we've heard repeatedly. So Red Wolf seems to be a big one that we've had a few people request. So yeah, let us know what you think. Always hit our like button, and if you have some comments, let us know. Good, bad, whatever. And again, if you got a character that you want to know more about, let us know.
We also, I think it's been pretty exciting here lately because we've actually seen the subscriber count really grow. I mean, we went, I would say, what was it, about 3+ months ago? We were sub 400 for sure. And
Yeah,
we are now over 11,000 subscribers. And I think that's pretty dang awesome in itself.
yeah. I mean, it's pretty exciting. Yeah, we're really kind of growing, so we're gonna try to keep the content flowing and get our live streams going here, talking about the hot stories, reviews, and then doing some origins and other things. If you guys have any requests of anything, let us know.
All right. We are going to get into it tonight about, I want to say, the death of Justice League, but I think it has sort of went a different direction, and not just the Justice League. It's all of DC Comics, basically.
Yeah, this is getting real scary now. So while this, for a lot of us old timers and long time readers of comics, the death of anything in comics is like been there, done that. Look,
Yeah.
I'll enjoy the story. Do I for a second think any of these characters are permanently dead? Of course not. We'd have to be fools to believe that at this point. However, it's like, okay, this could be exciting to see some other characters shine, especially my man Hal there. I'm hoping he's prominently back in whatever follows this Death of Justice League storyline, and between him and Wally and Barry, and we've got Kyle there, and I'm sure Damian, Black Adam, Dick, and Cyborg are all play a huge part in all what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So, on the one hand, we ought to be sort of excited and looking at this as an event to look forward to. There's some big issues with DC Comics. I mean, not only does DCEU have a lot of uncertainty, despite a lot of cool projects coming out this year, it's after this year that's like, okay. But DC Comics, whoo, a
It's
little
not good.
scary.
And I I want to say that I still think this has a lot to do with what's going on before the merger. And you can tell me if I'm wrong. I don't Are DC Comics part of this merger with Discovery? They're not, are
Oh,
they?
oh yeah. I mean,
But
this is Warner Media.
I thought they were also looking into somebody buying it privately at some point.
Yeah, there's been talks about somebody saying, "Hey, if you Warner Media don't want to mess with publishing anymore at all, like, hey, it's all we really want is the IP anyway. The comics don't make squat for us. but the IP makes us billions. We'll license out the publishing rights to you, which a while like on it 6 7 months ago, Robert Kirkman's name was being floated around, the guy who created Walking Dead. That hey, hey, could you see a scenario where they license out their heroes to another publisher? I'd say that's still possible. I think anything's possible right now because when this merger happens, DC Comics being an entity of Warner Media, who then is bought by Discovery, they're going to look at everything.
I also think this has to do with the last stand of the current regime of DC Comics. They want to do something big. They were trying to make certain political statements at the end here to make sure it would work. And what now can they do best than to kill off Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman, Aquaman, and John Stewart Green Lantern? I mean, that's almost killing your whole thing, especially if it's Batman. I mean, let's just be real honest. If you're killing off Batman, then that's a huge situation.
Well, yeah, I mean, is this the prophetic thing that they were going to show? Like, hey, let's kill all the Justice League and get the diversity Justice League going from Future State, where we've got the bisexual Superman, we've got the African American black man or Batman, we have Brazilian Wonder Woman, we have female Aquaman, we have non-binary Flash. I'm missing somebody else, but you get the point. So is that what's gonna happen, or is that what we're trying to do? We've already seen the Wonder Girl and the other new Jackson Hyde, the other Aquaman. They're already in another series. So are we planting the seed there for all these characters to come front and center as a new Justice League? Yeah, I mean, and look at this. Daniel Cherry, the managing editor or whatever his role was in the Dan DiDio role, he's not even sticking around to see the results if this is going to work.
Yeah.
He's created a shitstorm and he's off to work for Kanye West.
And Michael Bendis is also leaving, correct?
I don't know what Bendis is doing for sure. He's still got one project that he's doing. I just don't know if he's going to be as heavily featured anymore because his price is so high.
Then on the flip side, what I would do if I am in April and this merger goes through with Discovery, I have people waiting in the wings. Jeff Johns is already getting involved in another project with DC. I would have him waiting in the wings and some other big writers to say, hey, they killed him. Guess what we're going to do as soon as we get back? We're going to bring them back, all of them.
That would create a lot of excitement. If I'm a fan, we're fans. Now we can't get everything we want, or we can always envision what a story might look like. But like you said, if we have this event, see how it plays out. We know it's an event, so just enjoy the ride and have these other characters shine for a little bit, and then like that's a great point. If you could have the new management come in, at least with Jeff Johns as like a guide, and he could do a couple books, but you get a Pete Tomasi, who's done excellent work on Batman and Robin Detective and Action Comics. You get a guy like him who's added editorial experience and bring some of the veterans back that might be willing to work for DC because so many of them aren't. And then like, hey, we're going back to some basics. We're going back to meat and potatoes, the characters you all love, and we're focusing on that. We're done with the preaching diversity garbage. We already have a lot of diverse characters that we're going to utilize,
Right.
And would that help bring back some fans or create some excitement? It can be done. These characters are still beloved. It's like you might not like the comics, but people still love the characters.
Yep. And you know who Gary V is, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So I was listening to an interview and he was talking about one of the best ways to make characters are still through comic books. He goes, look at all the characters that they have always created. I do think it's a very good opportunity to push some of the more unknown or less known characters like you were talking about. But man, to make a push after that and to bring all of them back for a big event, like have it last almost from May to the end of the year kind of an event.
No, I agree.
That
Yeah,
would be totally exciting. It would sell, and I think you would be a win-win with everything in that way.
I agree totally too, because another thing that they used to do so much better was they had breathing room between events. You had a Civil War, you had Infinite Crisis events that lasted 4 to 6 months, and then you didn't have an event for the next 6 to 7 months. You let the ramifications of that event breathe and let
Yeah.
the new things that you wanted to introduce either take off or not take off, but see how things played out. Instead, now, because none of the books sell, just like everything, you could have an event not even being over, and another event is already starting. So it's a complete disaster. But I think this will be a great opportunity to try the other way of like, let's let this really play
Yep.
out, get Hal, and I'm biased, Hal, but whoever, a Booster, Beetle, bring the original Titans back, get some of the other characters that are popular. They're not the triple A list of Batman, Superman, but they're very popular, and let them get fans interested in them again, and then wham,
Yep.
get a rebirth style
Oh
type
man.
scenario.
Heck yeah. And I think eventually I really feel that there's a new market. We obviously know the independent market is going decently well for the creators, but at the same time, I think it's making the Marvel and DC comics, they better start realizing they need to pay the talent, and they need to pay the talent
Yeah,
well to keep them, or there's no reason to do this.
I mean that's another huge reason. It's you see all these guys making big bucks, making way more than they did working for Marvel and DC. And so you might love the characters, but you're like, well, I have my own creation and I can make triple doing that and
Yep.
not answering to DC or Marvel. And I'm getting all the I'm reaping all the rewards, and I'm scrounging for any kind of percentage point of merchandise or whatever. If they even give me any credit, DC actually does a pretty good job of some royalty checks where Marvel just sucks. They're terrible.
I mean, they better figure out something soon, or the well's going to dry up on the movies. I mean, it just is.
Well,
Unless they figure
uh,
out they're just after 25 years, they can recirculate it.
yeah, I mean, right now there's talent there at DC and Marvel. I'm not gonna say there's not. There's actually some pretty decent artists, but you got to figure they're young and have always probably dreamed of working for Marvel and DC. Now they're getting their chance, but it's like if you're not gonna pay them, and this crowdfunding thing is not happening in a bubble. If you're in the business, you know what's going on. You're
Right.
gonna quickly be like, I made a name for myself with Marvel and DC pretty quick here. I'm gonna go try my hand over here because you're not paying squat.
Right. Well, we know that the death of the Justice League is coming, but let's talk now about death of DC Comics, or we can even say Marvel Comics in general. But let's focus on DC Comics. Here is December of 2021, the top 50 comics. So you want to go over this?
Yeah, so the concern, and a lot of other YouTubers are pointing this out, is wow, DC's in big trouble. And you might look at that and say, well, wait, Batman is the #1 comic. How are they in trouble? Well, that's great. But what we can show you here is as we slowly scroll down, we have not until what is it, number, what is it, 13? No, yeah.
No, 13 is a Batman also.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. We scroll all the way down to 13 and then 15 and then
17.
17, 18 is Batgirl. 24, Batman. 25, Batman. 28, Joker. So another 30, Nightwing annual. Of course, that's Nightwing. And then we have Batman Catwoman, Nightwing solo series, Detective Comics Batman, Joker annual. So that is the top 40. Now we finally at 40 have a Wonder Woman comic, not the main Wonder Woman title. It's some limited series. Then we go down to Robin and Batman. And then we still have, and then, oh, look, we do at least get Justice League Incarnate, which has a version of Batman.
Batman.
So if we want to say, without Batman, they have one book in the top 50. One. And you have characters like Superman, Green Lantern, Flash, Aquaman, Green Arrow, Black Canary, other Justice League members, Hawkman, Hawkgirl, Martian Manhunter. And you're telling me, and then plus, the other characters we have in that picture, none of those are in the top 50. I mean, you don't have a Teen Titan book. Let's see, you don't have a Black Adam book. Well,
Blue Beetle.
Blue Beetle and Booster Gold have a book right now, not in the top 50. I see Plastic Man there, and the rest are Titans. And then Jaime Reyes, Blue Beetle, he's nowhere to be found. It's like, holy cow, guys, this is a massive problem. You have flooded your market with Batman books. Most of what you're producing is Batman, so now you're letting all your other characters flounder, and your sales as a whole are plummeting.
And that's what's flooring me big time on the thought process. If you're about to kill off Batman, what are you going to do? I mean, I know they'll probably still write books on the side that's not, it's not connected with that storyline, but still.
Right. Yeah, I mean, your main books, Detective and Batman, and then I can't even keep up with the other ones that are in continuity. Yeah, if you're killing Batman, then he's not going to be in those books, right? So you're going to have Nightwing take over for the 500,000th time, or Red Hood do something, or some of his newer sidekicks like Ghost Whisperer or the Signal. Some of these other characters you have, is his name Jace Fox? I think he's the new Black Batman, so that's probably he'll be the star of those titles while Bruce is dead. So it's just like, guys, even one of the most notorious right now, SJW, old cranky farts, Jerry Conway, who is a great writer, has created a lot of stuff. He tweeted about, like, oh my gosh, been there, done that. Like, so-and-so lives, so-and-so dies, snore. Like, we've seen this all 1,000 times, this whole death of. And so it's played out on Marvel and DC. Marvel was just killing Doctor Strange right when Multiverse of Madness comes out.
That's really makes sense.
Guess who's replacing Steven? A female. It's Clea, which I like Clea, but it's like, are you serious right now?
It's just like the new thing, and we all got to keep up with the new thing.
Yeah, it's just we can probably get off on another tangent here of just the bankruptcy of ideas. It's like, wow, you guys have chased these events to the nth degree, and that you've you've drained that tank so much. It's as dry as sitting out in the desert for like 50 years. It's done. It's rusted. It's done.
So two questions for you on this. One, do you think DC is organized enough that they are ready to really push some of these different characters in bigger roles? And do you think it will work? That's my first question for you.
Well, I mean, cynically, I'm gonna say no. And here's two reasons why the fans like myself are not interested. I'm not interested in Black Batman. I'm not interested in non-binary Flash. Those new characters, I don't give a shit about. If I want to see new characters, create new characters. And to DC's credit, right before Dan DiDio got sacked, he did have a new implement. I can't even remember. DC's New Age of Heroes. They introduced the Silencer, Damage, Brimstone, I think, and Sideways, which is a pretty cool character. But it was a failed event because they sold it like, hey, look at this, new characters, top tier talent. Well, you can only pay that talent if the books sell a certain number.
Yeah.
So if you've got a superstar artist on issue 1 and then issue 2 sells below the threshold, like 30,000, well, then it can't afford to have the artist. So you lose the superstar artist and you get Joe No Name on the art, and then the sales just crater.
Yeah.
So you had all these new characters and they all tank. So what do you do as a management team? Oh my gosh, we can only focus on the big guns, which that probably should always be your main focus. But if you don't start developing new characters as well, you get in a situation like this where you're just stuck with, new characters don't work. Our old characters don't work. Let's just try variations of the old characters and call them new. And no one cares.
Yeah.
Nobody cares. And then on top of it, you're trying to shove a message down my throat about diversity and inclusion and all this bullshit. That look, it shouldn't be said. It should be said that that's good to have, but not at the expense of story and character.
Right. And not to the point where you're making me lose that character that I have invested in and love. And basically, since I'm not going to your other one over here that you're hoping you force on people, the way now I'm going to make you go over here is the one you love is gone.
Right, and then you don't even make that story about the one that replaced him any good. You're
Yeah.
just selling a headline.
Yep.
And so that in itself, you're just chasing the I don't know, chasing the dragon, so to speak. You're never gonna get it. You're just not gonna catch it.
Right.
And so you have that problem, and then the other issues with DC letting hundreds of years of editorial experience get thrown out the door. You have virtual nobody. You have like gophers in the office, like got promoted to editorial positions. They don't know
Oh,
what
gee.
they're doing.
Okay. Last question. And if anybody is watching, I want you to either write it in the comments or, put it in the comments if you're watching it later on. Are you going to buy this copy of the single issue?
Of Death of the Justice League?
Yep.
Well, hell yeah, I'm buying it. Yeah, I'll buy. I actually am interested in this to see, are we going to see is there a spark of something there that they're going to be able to build on? Is it going to go the trash Future State League? Or are they going to come to their senses with this transition, like you said, and use this as an opportunity to re-energize the DC universe?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, man, if they could get Jeff Johns involved and have a rebirth type situation, but not rebirth of Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, let's dive deeper into Cyborg, Blue Beetle, stuff like that. Like deeper into and maybe even make a new character. Like, woo, let's really surprise people.
Yeah, in the old days, I mean, the comic companies get greedy. Like, just going back to Didio's launch of like 500,000 new characters. Like, well, hey, why don't we have a balanced approach? Let's Superman needs help, okay? And it wasn't that long ago that it was exceptional. Then Bendis came on, and it's been shit ever since. You know, Batman's doing pretty well because it's freaking Batman.
Right.
But Green Lantern, garbage. Flash, I don't even know what's going on with it. Wally's Flash now again, I don't even know. And then Superman, Aquaman doesn't even have a title. Well, he's going to called Aquaman, whatever. So get your guys back on top. Focus on that, and then look at your Blue Beetles, who's going to have a movie. Look at your Cyborg, who has a lot of fans with Snyder Cut. You know, you have a lot of interest in Booster Gold still. That
Yeah, and if they're planning on that type of live action with Booster Gold, I think you need to push him. You need to get it to where we are interested in him.
Yeah. You get the Titans back. You get Teen Titans or the Titan. You know, get that back to the core people. You get your core back, and then your very B plus A minus guys steady. You have all that. You go forward with that, and then instead of having 500,000 new characters, 1 to maybe 2. Like, promote a new character, 1 character or 2. Like back in the day, it was like, hey, brand new Firestorm in the DC universe. It was a big push. I mean, like, we're talking what, late 70s, early 80s. Or like with Marvel had a new push. It was Nova, you know, or Moon Knight. You kind of focused on one. You didn't try to throw 300.
Yep. But I, at the same time, don't want to just focus on a superhero. Give me a brand new badass villain.
Well, yeah, and you know, Batman does. I mean, it seems like there's been some new villains on the Batman side that are halfway interesting. I haven't yet read all of them, but I'm trying to keep up. So there's, gosh, Ebony, brand new
You're over.
Batman.
I haven't looked at Batman for about a year and a half or so.
Yeah, but I agree. I mean, really give us some new grade A villains.
Now, this is me not being as gigantic into it as you, but this is my question. From what I hear on watching stuff and on reading stuff, I almost feel like back issues or omnibuses are selling better than the new stuff.
Oh, without question. Yeah, that's
So do they
that's been
not
going on for
look
a
at that at
while.
all?
I don't think they care. Honestly, I think, the lack of editorial experience is Daniel Cherry had no knowledge of comics, zero. He didn't even bother to try to learn about it. He was just using his marketing experience and technology, new technologies, modern media, social media, and he's going to try to market. Okay, but he didn't know jack crap about the books.
What he might have known about marketing, but not what he was marketing.
Right. So you would think that these guys would see that and be like, this might be a problem. It's great that we have back issue sellers like Legend of the Dark Knight or Watchmen. Those are perennial sellers. They are all Kingdom Come. They're always selling year in and year out. But when you start having these omnibuses, like, hey, I got so disillusioned with Green Lantern, I have all the issues, but I wanted to have the collected version of Jeff Johns' Green Lantern, so I got it and reread them, and it's like, that's a problem. That's a massive problem.
And I'm to the point where I'm just starting this to where I'm buying omnibuses, and there's nothing that I would rather read right now that's new than the omnibuses that I would like to read. Now, I'm not going to say Moon Knight I'm interested in. I have read, the new stuff of Moon Knight, but other than that, nothing's like jumping out at me at all. And Wes has brought this up a lot on his stream. So, I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah, I think the problem too is, sometimes you'll get someone that says, every Marvel and DC comics being made right now are terrible. And it's like, well, that's not true. There is real talent there with some of the writers and especially the artists. So, and some of the books are good, but the vast majority, it's starting to be more crap, and the experience you have there, editorial and managing the ship, is so bad that it's outweighing or outshining anything
Yeah.
that's still pretty good.
What's your top 3 books on Marvel and DC right now that you would tell people to read?
Gosh, see, that's my problem. I keep up with it, but I'm so far behind. I'm like 2 years behind of the current storylines, even though I'm keeping my finger on the pulse. Um, Batman had I think the Fear State, maybe. I hear good and bad things about it. I hear a lot from Wes. He gives you some pointers on some good books. Apparently, although it's getting no press because everything's Superman, son of Kal-El, and his bisexual adventures, but that book isn't selling. But the Action Comics that still has our Superman, Kal-El, I hear that's really good. That's pretty darn good. Um, and then after that, I don't know what DC's doing that would be that's getting a lot of rave reviews.
That's scary.
Um, yeah, there probably is. I'm not saying there isn't. I'm just not hearing much chatter about any of those other books at all.
Okay. And then Moon Knight and Marvel, I would think, is up there for
Yeah,
you.
it seems like Moon Knight's doing really well, getting a lot of buzz at exactly the right time.
Yep.
I'm hearing that Spider-Man's doing really well and has been really well. And Venom, Donny Cates is a popular writer with his Venom and Hulk now that he's doing. So yeah, so Marvel actually has some things, maybe some glimpses of some sanity back. Their X-Men line is a mess. It's bad. But some of the other books are maybe trying to get back here a little bit.
All
Don't hold
right.
your breath though. We'll see what
Let's talk.
happens. Fingers crossed.
I want to talk a little bit now about the Peacemaker series on HBO
Yeah,
Max.
Peacemaker.
Now, we have talked. You know what my opinion is on it. I do
Yeah,
like John Cena. I do like the character. But what I was worried about right away on this movie slash series was it was too over the top, funny.
right.
And I think it
Yeah.
is. But at the same time, I know a lot of people like that.
Yeah, it does seem to be hitting or landing pretty successfully. I mean, it's one of HBO Max's most watched shows, most successful original shows outside of Euphoria. Right now, it's like everyone's talking about Euphoria and Peacemaker. So,
That's pretty dang
it's a
good.
hot show. Yeah, it's a hot show right now. And
Don't Do
go
you
ahead.
think it's helped that it on the timing of it? Because at the same time, Boba Fett is not doing well right now.
Yeah, now, momentary segue into Boba Fett. Haven't watched the new episode, but everyone's raving about it. However, spoiler, minor spoiler, just for a moment. Spoiler. Apparently, Boba Fett ain't in the whole episode. It's all Din Djarin. It's all Mandalorian. so,
That is so
so
weird what they're doing.
yeah,
And what's weird about what they're doing is Boba Fett is the one of the iconic characters in Star Wars. So what are you
yeah.
doing to those people right now that are way pissed off?
Well, I know, and people are raving about this episode, so I haven't watched it yet. I'm excited to. I want to see what they're doing. But as a Boba Fett fan, I have not hated the show. I still have liked it. more than I didn't like it. But
Okay.
I'd
Now,
be lying
question
if I
before.
didn't say it's a little bit of a disappointment.
Okay, question before you really answer is when you heard they were making this series, I'm sure you were more than excited. It
Oh yeah.
has it even came close to living up to that hype?
Mm, there's been a moment. Let's just say there's been moments.
Okay.
Getting out of the Sarlacc pit,
Yes, but that was
exciting.
at the beginning. It was one of the
I
first
know.
things.
I didn't. I liked the last episode pretty well. Episode 3 was a huge bust. It was not good. This last episode had a lot of promise. I really dug them going back to the Sarlacc. I thought that was a really cool sequence. Uh, I've liked it. I haven't loved it, and my biggest criticism has been, it's like, holy they went so far the opposite direction than they did with Mandalorian. Like he never took the helmet off. Granted, that was part of the story, but it's like, who's telling him? Who's writing this that Boba Fett is 95% without his helmet? It's like, come on, man. Even the actor says he's got his helmet off too much.
That's crazy.
So anyway, moment.
Segue.
So we're back to Peacemaker.
Okay. And just talk. I'm just gonna put up some photos and stuff like that. So you just talk, you do you, and we don't have to go in
Well,
order or anything.
this looks like, yeah. I mean, this is episode 1. I can't say that I was ever a massive John Cena fan as a wrestling. Liked him, he's fine.
He was that one guy you
Um,
love to hate.
yeah, I mean he was just okay. He's kind of like Roman Reigns now. I'm like, I'm over Roman Reigns, but I really like John Cena as an actor. He reminds me of Chris Hemsworth in the fact that, holy crap, these guys have some real comedic chops. Like they're damn funny.
Yeah.
I mean, they can do the action and then they can do. It's hilarious. So I'm definitely on the fence of liking it more than I don't like it. It's really starting to grow on me. I enjoy James Gunn's humor. Um,
Why does this
I
remind me of Austin Powers?
well, it should because I love Austin Powers as well.
But it should remind me just because you love Austin Powers. I mean, that
Well, people love Austin Powers.
I know, and I like it
Yeah.
too, but I can't sit there and watch it over and over and over and over.
No, and don't feel bad if you don't like it either. I mean, some people don't like it. Like, we enjoy listening to some of the other commentators, Sil Abdul on his show and Mikey, they can't stand it. Um, and they love DC. But for me, I am enjoying it way more than I'm not enjoying it. Now, having said that, I don't know if you have any picture of Vigilante or not, but he is. It's weird how I feel about that character in the show because if you don't know who he is, he's becoming a fan favorite. Like people are loving him in the show, and he is pretty great and he's pretty funny. And it's like, oh, this guy's got something going on. But if you're a comic fan, it's like, damn, really?
Well, who
You're
is
calling
this
this
chick
guy
that's after
Adrian
him right now?
Chase? Oh, she's just a possessed human. She's got an alien inside of her. She's not a supervillain. I mean,
What'd
I
you
guess she
think of
was in the moment.
what'd you think of this part with his mask?
Ooh, that was really cool. I was like,
It was.
we gotta see more of this with the helmets. I'm like super intrigued by that.
Yeah, I actually thought this was pretty awesome right there.
I'm really
So
hoping they give
Vigilante, it was in 2, right?
yeah, he's been in every episode pretty much since episode 2.
Here's
So
the
Adrian
mask.
Chase, man, he is oh yeah, there's his dad in another mask. Robert Patrick, the T-1000. Now his dad's a villain, the White Dragon, and they actually showed his supervillain costume in the last episode. It was pretty cool looking.
I'm trying to get to it. Sorry.
But yeah, in the comics, they've kind of made a combination of his dad with. There is a white dragon character that's a racist, evil villain in the comics, but he's not Peacemaker's dad in the comic. So they've just swapped out who his dad was in the comic for White Dragon. So Christopher Smith's father in the comic is they find out he's a ex Nazi military officer, and
Okay.
so his dad was a straight up Nazi, and so they've strangely enough done a pretty kind of faithful version of Peacemaker, minus him living in a trailer, for this show. But Vigilante, on the other hand, I would want to ask James Gunn. I love what you're trying to do here. I do. I think it's hilarious, and their buddy relationship is kind of fun. It's a lot funny. I just don't know why you chose Adrian Chase. You could have chosen a lot of other characters
So
instead of.
explain.
Well, Adrian Chase is straight up the Punisher in DC. I mean, he's an ex DEA, not DEA. He's an ex district attorney. He's a lawyer. And at one point, he became a judge. And the family get killed scenario, and he's a ruthless killer. I mean, really ruthless. So, and at times he was almost kind of like really almost bad, even more so than the Punisher. But he had a lot of history with the Teen Titans and Dick Grayson especially. So they were kind of friends fighting the mob together before he became Vigilante, and he did. But this version is, well, it's just Deadpool. I mean, is all it is.
Yeah.
So, I mean, again, he's really likable. He's funny. I love him in the show. But Adrian Chase, what? He's a busboy at a restaurant?
Huh.
You just could have gone a different route. You just could have picked a different character and just done that. Otherwise, it seems pointless. While Vigilante's not some A-list character, and he does have some fans though, and his book is one of the most profound. Especially, I mean, the last issue of his series was like, whoa. I mean, the character ended up committing suicide. That was the end of the book.
Really?
Yeah.
So is that probably the most disappointing thing that you have so far of this series?
Yeah, I'd say so. And then Judo Master is, I don't know what that is. I mean, it's definitely not the Judo Master from the comics. It's Judo Master name only again. But other than that, I think the comedy's good. It's got some decent action scenes. I am intrigued to where this is going. I like them building up the relationship with him and his father, who's such a shit to him and cruel.
Yeah.
So you really are, if you didn't like Peacemaker and the Suicide Squad, you really start to like him and feel sorry for him in this show.
Yeah, yeah. And that was almost a feel right from the beginning because he's thinking,
Yeah.
oh, there's police out, there's FBI out trying to get me when he was in the hospital, and like no one cared, no one was there.
Yeah, yeah. But you actually see he's actually a decent guy. I mean, he's
Yeah,
not this piece of crap that his dad is.
yeah, I agree.
So we'll see what happens. I mean, I think they'll announce season 2 at the end of this season, since
It's almost
it's
has
such a
to,
hit.
right?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a hit for him. So I don't think there'll be any question it gets renewed, and James Gunn will get his instead of him being the cinematic side of things and being the guy they wanted to do everything, it looks like his role is going to be in a lot of HBO Max shows. I think he'll have. There's a rumor of a rat catcher show that he wants to do, James Gunn, and there's Judo Master. There's 3 Judo Masters in the comics. One is Rip Jagger, a white guy who became a martial artist, which of course they weren't going to use that. There's actually an Asian version of Judo Master that made one appearance in a Justice League book. Just one.
Really?
He doesn't even have a name. I mean, other than Judo Master, we know. I don't think we ever even learn his name.
This
But he
is
is.
this is a little
He.
gory.
Oh my, yeah. It was. So yeah, it's like, what the hell are these butterflies?
Yeah.
But
Hmm.
I guess I was hoping to see some more characters, and that's my pet peeve with James Gunn is that if he does introduce characters, chances are they're going to be not. If they're a B character, they're going to be nothing. He's going to take such creative license. They're going to be like, so Vigilante and Judo Master. Not that they have a ton of fans, but it's like name only. You're like, okay, that's just a
Yeah.
whole new creation.
Now, is he in charge? Was he in charge of the mess up with? I say mess up, but was James Gunn in charge of the mess up with Drax?
Yeah, that was totally James Gunn. Yeah, he did all that. That's his. He wrote and directed Suicide Squad. So, or excuse me. Well, he did that
Guardians
too.
of the
But Guardians of the
Galaxy.
Galaxy. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But do you
So
see what
yeah,
I'm
that's
saying? It was more about comedy with him than about Drax is just a badass. He's
yeah.
one of the top badasses in Marvel.
That's that's the scary thing issue that I have with James Gunn. It's like, hey, my wife or someone at work who has no knowledge of Drax the Destroyer
Yeah.
watches Guardians of the Galaxy and they love it. I love Drax. Well, yeah, I mean, I like him in the movie. If I didn't know who he was, if I'd never heard of Drax, I'd be like, yeah, he's great, but he's not the
That's
Drax I
not
read as a kid. That's not
right.
Drax the Destroyer. Just like, hey, you take Vigilante. Granted, 99% of the people don't know who that is, but I do. And I don't like your version one bit.
Right.
So
No,
we'll
I
see.
get that. And that's one thing I worry about with him. I think Peacemaker is probably a very good thing for him to direct. Same with Suicide Squad because there's a little comedy with it, a little quirkiness. Guardians of the Galaxy, I think it was very successful because of it, but at the same time, that show probably sometimes went too far. Not that it was bad because I really enjoyed both of them. But this is what I worry about, and it's not James Gunn, but I worry about the next step with Thor: Love and Thunder is just going to go over the top, and
Oh,
Peacemaker goes over the top sometimes, but it's trying to the whole time. It's not trying to fake you out at any point.
no. I mean, it's, what it is. It's not, this is an action comedy with James Gunn humor.
Yeah,
And I'm okay with it for the most part. I don't want to see James Gunn take a hold of like, I don't want to see him direct a Green Arrow Black Canary movie. It's like, oh
oh
hell
no, no,
no.
no.
Oh please no 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 please no. Do your quirky characters. Granted, some of them I might like. Love what you did with Star Lord. Don't like what you did with Drax. Love what
Yeah,
you do with actually Christopher Smith Peacemaker. Don't like what you do with Vigilante. So, but stay away from the main guys. Have
yeah.
your little quirky side over here, and I'll be okay. And
I'm with
yeah,
you
I
on
mean,
that.
I've said it for months now, and I really hope I'm wrong. Thor: Love and Thunder, Marvel's version of Batman and Robin. We will see, but I think it's going to be over the top, color candy, which it'll look pretty. Batman and
Yeah.
Robin back in '97 looked pretty. Even some of the action was pretty decent, but it was garbage. And I'm worried that it's just going to be 100% joke fest, just like out of hand.
I think what I'm worried about is the first Thor. I thought was really good, and Chris Helmsworth was serious with a little bit of sprinkle of being funny, but he was serious for the
Yeah.
most of the movie. And man,
Hmm.
Thor's character, comic book character, is a serious character, and
Yeah.
the gradually everything with Thor even up to Endgame, has gotten so stupid funny that that's all you want it to be, and it's just like, man, what? It's too far now. We went too
It
far.
is. Well, and they did it slowly, so you enjoyed it a little bit, and then it was like, oh gosh. Endgame was just on TV the other night. It just had it on in the background, and it happened to be on the same. It showed up on TV at the exact moment when the three of them go to fight Thanos at the end, and while it was good to see Thor get serious again, he's walking around in the fat suit with his armor, and you're just like,
Mm.
man, it does now. It does detract a little bit. Like, it doesn't ruin it at all, but it's like, this just looks stupid with him walking around in that fat suit. But you're right.
I agree.
I wish we could have the Lord of the Rings serious Thor. More than what, because we do have joke Thors. What we have, and honestly, Coach, some of the books you probably read as a kid, some of you didn't, but that was Hercules.
Yeah.
Hercules was the jokey kind of bumbling, not a fool, but just the one that's Hercules. He's playing Hercules in the MCU. That's not Thor. That's Hercules.
Okay. I'm going to get off topic for a second, but I have an interesting question for you that I wanted to ask you for a while, but we just got done. Disney Plus series for Marvel. What is your most rewatchable series that they have?
I don't know. I find myself that I haven't rewatched the series much. Like I don't throw it back on. Are you talking like Marvel or just any
Yeah,
Disney
just the
Plus?
one. No, Marvel. Just the ones that they just
Oh,
did.
okay. Because the answer for me is actually Mandalorian. That's the one I've watched like
Well,
2 or 3 times. However, for Marvel, I probably um I gotta say it's probably Hawkeye. Strangely
I'm
enough,
I'm with you 100%.
that's the one you could
Um,
just throw on and rewatch over and over. For
yep.
me, yeah,
And then I'm gonna say my one in the bottom. My one in the bottom is What If. I watched it once. I'm sort of done. I don't need to watch it again. But then this is where I'm sort of up in the air of what would be the second worst. I didn't like. I didn't really get into Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but I think I can rewatch it more than I can Loki, if that makes any
yeah.
sense.
I can't explain it. I agree. I can't put it into words. Even though I recognize that Loki was probably the best one and all the
Mm-hmm.
ramifications, I don't find myself wanting to rewatch it. I could just throw on Cap or Falcon and Winter Soldier and kind of half watch it and be okay with that.
Yep.
And I'm kind of the same way with WandaVision. I love WandaVision. But if you want to rewatch it, you feel like you got to watch the first few, and it's like
I don't
I
really
get
want to
what
watch
they.
the first
I
few.
don't
Yeah.
really want to watch those, even though it's important to the story. It's like, well, eh. So it's kind of a mixed bag.
So it's weird, but I would probably go first Hawkeye, second Falcon and the Winter Soldier, three WandaVision,
I'd
four
say
Loki, and
I'd say
five
they're
What If.
tied. I'd say they're tied. Oh, I gotta say something about What If. You're right. But weirdly, I've rewatched the last episode, or is it the last 2 episodes, like three
Hmm.
times with the
So
Ultron.
is that your number one then?
I guess. Well, only the last 1 or 2 episodes though. I haven't watched the other ones a bunch. I did like the Dark Supreme one. Watched that a couple times. But yeah, that final one with the Vision. No, no, no. Yeah, with
Yeah.
Vision becoming Ultron and then getting the Infinity Stones. Oof, man, that's something else. And that fight with the Watchers, legit. I mean, it's animated, but man, it's great.
I'm gonna say though, I enjoyed Jeremy Renner. I'm gonna say, what is her name? Florence Pugh,
Oh, Florence Pugh.
and Hailey Steinfeld. Those three, I enjoyed that chemistry on the camera
Excuse me.
more than I enjoyed WandaVision's chemistry or Loki's chemistry. Now, I did like Sebastian Stan a lot in Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah, he was
So,
really good.
but those three in Hawkeye, man, hats off to them because I thought they were great.
Yeah, I think Hawkeye maybe started out kind of slow with the buzz,
Mm-hmm.
and then it just got more and more. You threw in Yelena and then Kingpin, and then so that means Daredevil's around the corner, and then
Mm-hmm.
yeah, Haley Steinfeld with. I mean, the whole thing really came together well with. I don't know the actress's name who played Echo, but the whole
She was good
thing,
too.
yeah, it's like, ooh, yeah, that really did build momentum, and then by the end, it was like, oh, okay, because it drove up Daredevil, the Netflix series that ended 3 years ago. It entered the top 10 on streaming because of interest in Hawkeye, and then the Matt
Yep.
Murdock 5-second cameo in Spider-Man. So
Don't you also believe that Hawkeye, I could say WandaVision a little bit, but Hawkeye had the best villains?
oh, in the
Yeah.
shows, yeah. Let's think about this. Who did we have? I don't know. Loki was maybe the whole Kang thing at the end was pretty
But
awesome.
was he a villain?
Yeah, I mean, it was only the one episode, so villains were. Who was the villain? I don't know. Agatha was pretty good. Hawkeye did though consistently through the show. You liked what you were getting.
Yeah. He was always fighting against someone.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
the
I mean,
worst villain was Falcon and the Winter Soldier, without a doubt.
oh, that was bad. I mean, and I don't count John Walker as the villain.
No.
That the Flag Smashers were. That was bad. That was Mandarin Twist and Iron Man 3 bad. It was terrible.
Yep.
Really bad. Yes, sir.
All right. You got anything else?
One last little thing. We'll just say, give a plug out to Superman and Lois. Hey,
Mm.
Superman's my favorite. Um, and I know Coach and I both love that show. Uh, season 2 has
Yeah.
started, and I got a minor quibble, but other than that, it started out pretty hot, and I haven't watched the third episode, but they did a real bait and switch with a villain. Everyone thought it was one major villain, and it ended up being another major villain. And from what I've heard, I really like the twist.
Well, I want you to go into what's your one quibble.
Well,
I love
you
this
know, we're
series. I think this series has
yeah.
been fantastic.
I don't want to sound haterish, but it was kind of nice having no messages in the show, and for the most part, there still
Oh,
really
no.
isn't. But
Dang it.
and the way they did it seemed really like not part of the story. Um, so if it was part of the story, it would make more sense. But it feels like, oh hey, you guys got trashed last year because you had no diversity, even though you had John Henry Irons. But now I don't count. We're
And they
talking
actually did
LGBT.
John Henry Irons well.
Oh yeah, excellent. But not LG. There's no LGBTQ. Well, they're fixing that this year.
Great.
Again, if it's there, it's there. Okay, but it feels like, hey, you got called out. Oh, okay. Well, we'll fix it. And the way they did it is like, really? Come on now. That's what you're going for. All right, whatever.
The problem is we both knew this was coming. At the same time, we knew it was even coming with that actor. With that character, I would say.
Well, it's not who you think it is. I know what you're saying.
Okay.
And it's not quite, at least I think I know. But
we'll discuss that in a second then.
Yeah, so you check it out, but enough on the negative side. It's still really good quality. You know, he's still amazing as Superman. The effects are definitely a notch above the trash heap that is Flash and Legends of Tomorrow and whatever the flaming turd that Supergirl ended as. So still a step above. And I've enjoyed the first 2 episodes of that Naomi, actually. Not awesome. Some of the acting is pretty stiff.
I haven't seen it.
It's good. It's I'm intrigued by it for sure. It almost has a Stranger Things meets DC vibe to it that I think is kind of cool.
Okay. Well, I need to check that out for sure then.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's your CWDC TV update. That's what we got.
I don't have anything
I think that'll
else.
do it. Yeah, that's our show, man. That's what we got.
All right. See you guys.
All right. We'll see you next week. Be here.